Welcome to Solo Journeys podcast, where every journey starts with a single step. I am your host, Sashi. Episode 2, Hosting on Airbnb. In today's podcast, I decided to talk about my experience with Airbnb from the host perspective. I will share some insights and tips helpful to both hosts and maybe even travelers. After separation with my partner, I had the chance to stay in the apartment. This made my life quite easy, as it's very difficult to find ground floor accommodation in good conditions for a reasonable price in Zurich. I also have 2 cats who are quite privileged to go out and live their wild life in just about 2 minutes away from home in the forest. The area where I live is nice, quiet. It's very close to airport, about 20 minutes away, and also 20 minutes from the city center. I really, truly love my place. So, what is the problem?
The big problem is the rent.
Well, the good thing for now, I didn't have to leave and I didn't have to hunt for an apartment.
It's similar to Safari in Zurich.
But now I faced a dilemma how to financially maintain it. First, I was searching for a flatmate, which is not easy after living with your partner for 13 years. And also in my age, let's say after 30, I felt it could be like a
second marriage for me.
Even though demand was high, there was no good match, and I thought to try out Airbnb. I have used the service as a traveler and had indeed various experiences, from good to, let's say,
insufficient.
But I haven't been on the other side. So one day, a couple of months ago, I registered but didn't realize my listing was live. And suddenly, I received SMS saying there is a request to book my room for solo travelers in a cozy apartment. That's how my headline is. Luckily, Airbnb has this great feature. Guests only request the booking and the host has 24 hours to confirm it or decline it. So I went for this feature rather than letting guests book directly. I could also set that the first guest should be an experienced Airbnb traveler. So if I don't know what to do as a host, maybe I thought the guest will help me. Up until now, I stick to the rule that I only let those guests who have already preferably positive reviews on the platform. But from time to time, I might host newbies. I also pay a lot of attention to the booking request message. Sometimes it's like a mini motivation letter where the guest explains exactly the purpose of the travel and why my apartment seemed to be suitable to their stay. I know that not everyone has time to do so, but I really appreciate those who do. It definitely builds trust and I really enjoy reading those messages. Another thing I was considering if I should restrict bookings with a minimum amount of nights, like 2 or 3, as with one night guest a laundry is being generated pretty fast. A lot of check-in and checking out procedures are involved. Well, again, Switzerland is an expensive place to travel, and what I noticed is that the majority of my guests stay indeed one night, for example, because of the layover flights. I also had academia guests who traveled to Zurich for conferences, courses, seminars, and lectures, thanks to all our universities around Zurich. Those guests stay normally longer, from 3 to 5 nights. In the end, I decided to not restrict to a minimum number of nights, as one night is mostly requested, of course, but also as I'm a fan of solo travels myself. I think it is nice to give somebody an opportunity, even for one night, to stay in a good accommodation below average hotel price. Yeah, solo travelers always pay more for accommodation, which is something that I would like to address in the future. Another thing, I don't have strict check-in and check-out times, even though platform allows to set it. During the week when I have to work though, I normally inform guests in the pre-approval phase if it will be okay if the check-in takes place after 6 p.m. Many guests often arrive early, and as I am 20 minutes away from both Zurich Airport and main station, it is of course convenient to drop the luggage, get refreshed and proceed to explore the city. This requires a certain degree of flexibility, of course, but again, if I'm on a solo travel myself, I would appreciate if somebody would be flexible with me.
Treat people as you want to be treated.
Up until now, I had already guests from USA, Czech Republic, Germany, Estonia, Canada, England, local Swiss, India, China, Hong Kong, as well as Mexico and Ecuador, Brazil, Romania, Italy. Wow, I'm listing the countries and smiling. I definitely like it. I'm so amused by other cultures. Each is so unique and precious, and it makes me so happy to be able to witness it.
What was supposed to be a life buoy became a joy.
At one point, I noticed I started to receive many requests from guests from China and Hong Kong. I first thought it was a coincidence until one lady came. We had a tea together and she told me that she came across my flat first in Chinese social media. Somebody have recommended it. I checked the application. It's a crazy combination of social media with lifestyle content, but at the same time, it's an e-commerce platform where users share their shopping experiences, reviews, recommendations, and obviously also traveling experiences. Maybe it will be useful for anyone. The platform is called Xiaohongshu. I hope I pronounce it correctly. If you are seeking to target Chinese market, here you go. This is another thing I enjoy a lot. I learned so many new and interesting things from my guests.
About superhost status.
It's a great feature. It makes your offer to appear on the top of the listings. And of course, it also helps to build trust between you and your future guests. Plus, you also get some other benefits like coupons for bookings on Airbnb, and if you refer another host, you get a higher price. The evaluation of the host takes place once in 3 months, and there are 4 pillars that are being evaluated. First, rating. You need to be at least 4.8 stars rated, meaning you should be excellent. Further criterion is at least 10 bookings, or 3 but at least 100 nights. Also, in order to be a superhost, your cancellation rate should be less than 1% of all your bookings during the taken period of time. And response rate minimum 90%, which means you need to answer booking requests and messages within 24 hours. Once I had to cancel one night booking. Normally I don't do it, my first and last so far, but the situation dictated the conditions. So I got in contact with the guest 1.5 weeks prior. It's still free for the guest to cancel 48 hours before the booking. I set it as a flexible cancellation. The guest didn't want to cancel the booking, saying that it's my fault and I should do it. Well, fair enough. I didn't argue, I just canceled the booking.
So what were the consequences?
Nobody could book this night via Airbnb, plus I got a financial penalty. I paid, I think, slightly more than half of the booking earnings of the next book night. Plus, by that time, I gained superhost status. In that case, you need to keep cancellation rate under 1%, as I mentioned earlier. And just with that cancellation, I quickly crossed 2%.
Oops.
So for the next period of validation of the superhost status, I need to keep doing well and avoid further cancellations. Another thing that threatens my superhost status is rating. I'm still a superhost, but due to just 2 ratings of 4 stars from overall 28 bookings, my rating dropped to 4.93 stars. One lady rated my location with 2 stars. She obviously missed the city center vibe. I think this is easily achieved though next time if you just pay 30-50% more and you get what you pay for. You can also check what is the location on Airbnb before you make a booking.
Long story short.
However, she left a very nice comment. There was one more guest who left 4 stars. To go back to 5 stars, it's a hard job. I'm still not clear how many excellent bookings you need. Airbnb's comment on that. You need to keep a good job and get excellent rating. Extremely helpful. Rating system is very important, but at the same time it's very tricky. So subjective and not exactly reflecting the whole picture. And you basically cannot do a lot. Just keep being excellent. First, it stressed me as at the moment I'm financially dependent on these bookings. But honestly, having looked at the comments my guest left, I thought this is what matters in the end. I love to read the comments my guests leave. Sometimes it's very touchy and heartfelt, also many of them somehow long and detailed, which are even more valuable as I see that my guests invested own precious time, which is the most valuable thing, I believe. In general, both as a host and the traveler, I find it extremely helpful that Airbnb reinforces this rating system. As for a traveler, it makes it easier to find a good place, and as for a host, it makes me feel secure to see what other hosts say about their experience with this guest. It is especially important when you let people in your own home. I normally take time to rate my guests. So far, I didn't have anything other than 5 stars. In case I was not sure what I should put, I left this guest without rating. By the way, this is another thing for hosts to look at. In case there are many past bookings and no recommendations, this might be a signal. Another thing just crossed my mind. Remember I mentioned that I have this cool feature request the booking? The profile picture you see only after you confirm the booking. You can see guest name and profile info in case there is some, sometimes there's nothing. Sometimes you have no clue who is coming to your place. I understand that this is made on purpose, probably to avoid discrimination, but hey, I let people in my home. So after the guest leaves, both hosts and travelers have an opportunity to rate the experience. Both hosts and guests receive slightly different questionnaires. Guests receive a questionnaire based on the 3 pillars: overall rating, detail ratings, and written review. Overall rating is from 1 to 5 stars, includes overall experience, where 1 is very dissatisfied and 5 is very satisfied. Furthermore, detailed rating. Detail ratings could also be rated from 1 to 5 stars and are based on several pillars, such as cleanliness, how clean was the property, accuracy, how accurate was the listing description, value, did the stay provided good value for the price, communication, how effective and timely was the communication with the host, check-in, how smooth and convenient was the check-in process, location, how did the guest feel about the location,
Written review.
summarizing the experience and some important points for the guest. So let's have a look what kind of questionnaire the host has. First question comes about the cleanliness of the guest, how well the guest followed your house rules. Another question about communication, how well the communication went with this guest. And the last one, would you recommend this guest to other hosts?
Yes or no.
Even though I find this rating system is extremely important, I believe this star rating system has a lot of room for improvement. I either recommend this guest or I don't. The same for the guest. Either the guest recommends this place or doesn't. I hope that was helpful. I have so much more information to share. But as I just started my podcast journey, I'm so curious what is interesting and could be helpful to people out there. In case you feel like to support me on that, please join my Telegram channel, which has the same name as this podcast, Solo Journeys Podcast, and share your experiences and ideas on what could be interesting for the upcoming episodes. Looking forward to hearing from you.
Join me on Solo Journeys podcast,
where every journey starts with a single step.